Hey guys, Miss Warren here. I want to introduce the painting practice worksheet. This is a similar worksheet to what we've done in colored pencil, but we're going to be doing it with paint. Now, I want you to put your name at the top so we know whose it is. And then we're going to go from the hue, and then we're going to make a medium tint and a light tint. Then we're going to make a medium shade and a dark shade. Then here we're going to look at our light source, and we're going to shade in all of these shapes and make them look three-dimensional using our paint. And it doesn't really matter what color you choose to use. So for here, I think here I'm going to start with a blue tint. I'm going to make sure my brush is really clean because earlier I was using red. And the hue is just the name of the color. So hue is where you would put the original color. So I'm going to make sure that I go along the edges. Make sure this is nice and neat. And then I'm going to pull all in the same direction to fill it in and smooth out any stripes or bumps. So it looks nice and smooth, all one color, nice and neat and clean. Now for medium tint, I have a brush full of blue. I'm going to grab a little bit of white. I'm going to mix a medium tint here. I want like a sky blue. So I want this color to be clearly lighter than the blue I just put down. So a tint is what you call it when you mix a hue or a color with white. I need to get a little more paint in my brush. You see where it's getting streaky there? That means I need a little more paint in my brush. So you can see that this color is clearly lighter than the blue that I was using earlier. Now I'm going to pull my brush all the same direction. Make sure it's nice and clean and smooth. And there I have a medium tint on my paper. Now we're gonna do a light tint. I'm not gonna add any more blue. I'm just gonna get some white and I'm gonna mix whatever was left over in my brush with the glob of white. See, it still makes it a pretty good blue here, but it's clearly lighter than the last blue that we painted. I want like a baby blue here. Now you can start off with red as a hue if you want to. You can start off with yellow. If you already have some orange or green or some violet mixed up, you can use orange, green, or violet. Let me get it straight up and down here. Nice and neat. And then I'm gonna pull all in the same direction to make this nice and neat and clean and an even space. Messed up a little bit there. I can go back through with the darker color and cover that up later. So there's my tints, and I already have some tints mixed up so I can use the tints on these when I get ready. So I'm gonna wash out my brush really well. Dry it off. Now for my shades, this black is really dark, so I'm gonna start with a pile of blue over here, and I'm gonna get a small amount of black. And I want this next color here to be just a shade darker than my original blue. Like a nice, deep navy blue. This color gets pretty dark, so it's kind of hard to tell. If you have the value correct. Now our next color is going to be really dark. It's going to be almost black. Let me get the edges here. Our next color is going to be almost black with just a hint of blue in it. So we got a nice dark navy blue here, and then I'm going to get some black and mix it into my pile of blue here. So we want this color to be clearly darker. And it looks almost black. It might look black on camera, but when I look at it with my eye, I can see that it has just a hint of blue in it. Okay, so there I have my shade. Now, since I already have some piles of colors mixed up, my light source is here, and I'm going to start painting in some of my forms. Now, I know that this cube, this dark side is going to be dark since I already have a brush with some like dark blackish blue on it. I think I'm going to go ahead and paint in this side. And because it's a flat surface, I'm going to make sure that my brush is nice and flat. I like to use a square tipped, like a flat tipped brush when doing like square shapes like this. Makes the line a little neater, a little cleaner. Nice and clean. Okay, now here, because the light's coming from this side, I think I want a light at the top and a medium at the bottom. So let me rinse out the black from my brush. And I think I'm gonna get just a regular blue in my brush for this side that faces me. Just make sure I get all the way to the edges with my paint. Then I'm gonna pull the same direction to make sure it's nice and neat and get all the streaks out of there. Then on the top, I think I'm going to do a tint of blue. Get a little more white because it's supposed to be the lightest of the three colors I have here. So let me mix a little pile here. Whoops. That's okay. The wonderful thing about acrylic is that if you mess up like that, you can paint right over it. So I'll paint over that after it dries. But for now, I'm going to continue. And I'm going to get the top of my cube painted in. So there I have my cube. Now I'm going to put a pause there and I'll continue a second video with the other forms.